Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be going over my NFL Conference Championship Round game picks. We're going to be previewing the Bills vs. Chiefs game and the Bucks vs. Packers game, and we're going to be determining who's going to be the winner of each game. Before we get started, please drop a like and a sub on today's video. It would really help my channel grow. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, let's dive right into the video, and I hope you enjoy. So as always with these videos, here is my big board. So these are going to be the two matchups. In the AFC, it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs. And in the NFC, it's going to be the Bucks and the Packers. Let's start with the AFC with the Bills and the Chiefs. So Bills versus Chiefs. So let's break down the big storylines. Obviously, the number one storyline is if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play. So obviously last week against the Browns, Patrick Mahomes had to leave the game in the third quarter after he suffered a pretty big hit and ended up getting a concussion. Right now he's in concussion protocol. And what that means is that he's going to have to go through a 5-step process to basically say that he doesn't have a concussion anymore. Right now, the Chiefs are pretty confident that he's going to be okay for Sunday, but they really don't know yet. I heard Jay Glazer after the Bucks vs. Packers game last night, 2 nights ago, rather, say that he was expected to be okay for Sunday. However, we don't really know yet. So if Mahomes is there on Sunday, I think the Chiefs will be able to win. They'll have a better offense than the Bills. They'll have a better defense than the Bills, and they're going to be playing at Arrowhead Stadium. And really, it's probably that simple. The Bills, the past few games, haven't looked as good as they were in closing out the end of the regular season. I mean, they beat the Baltimore Ravens last week 17-3, but I mean, it wasn't as convincing as that. Their defense was really good in that game, but I mean, if they hadn't gotten that interception, Lamar Jackson had gotten a touchdown in that third, fourth quarter area, then it would have been 10-10, and then, maybe Lamar Jackson wouldn't have gotten injured and would have hit that pass to Hollywood Brown, or it might have been Miles Boykin that the backup ended up missing. But overall, stuff could have happened. I don't think the Bills won that game convincingly enough to where it's going to be like they have a real shot against the Chiefs. I mean, they do have a shot against the Chiefs. I mean, of course they do. But I just like the Chiefs in this one, especially if Mahomes is playing. Yet, let's go through the thing if Mahomes doesn't play. Is Chad Henne good enough to beat this Bills team? So here's the thing. I think even with Chad Henne, this Bills squad could still take the loss. I mean, this Chiefs team with Chad Henne, they'd be conservative. They'd get probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, so they'd have some sort of running game, even though Darrell Williams was really good last week for the Chiefs offense. But overall, I just like what Chad Henne brought to the table. He looked calm, he looked cool, he looked collected. And other than that interception that was just a really bad throw, he had it. And obviously, he's a veteran quarterback. He's been in the NFL for 13 years. He understands what it needs to take to get it done, to get a win. He's obviously got a lot of experience. He doesn't really have any playoff experience. But that's okay in the fact that he's got great weapons around him. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. This offense with a guy like Chad Henne could still put up 24 points a game, 25 points a game. It's not going to be Mahomes. It's not going to be like they're going to score a touchdown every drive if you don't stop them. But it's going to still be manageable. And he played okay against the Chargers. He played pretty solidly in his short stint last week against the Browns. But overall, I still think it would be possible for this Chiefs team to win with Chad Henne. At the end of the day, it comes down to their defense and can they stop the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has not been playing like Josh Allen played in the last few weeks of the season. He's still been playing really well. He played solidly last week. He played pretty well against the Colts. But overall, I think this Chiefs defense is, it's physical, it's feisty, it's aggressive, and guys like Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu are real difference makers that I think could cause problems. For the Bills, of course, they've got a chance. When you got Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, who are one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the NFL, and then you've got a physical and fast defense that can keep up with a Chiefs team. They don't have Chiefs speed, but they've got speed, and they're a little bit undersized, but they're very physical, they're aggressive, they're athletic, the Bills defense. But I just think that the Chiefs offense, especially with Mahomes, is going to be too much. If it's not Mahomes and it's Henne, then it's probably going to be a 50-50 shot here, but I still would take the Chiefs. I like Andy Reid over McDermott. Andy Reid's just, he gets it done in the playoffs. Big Red. I just like what the Chiefs have, and I like their coaching, and I think their coaching might end up leading them to a win, especially if Mahomes doesn't end up playing this game. Play calling, Andy Reid's got it. He understands what Chad Henne can do. He understands what Chad Henne can't do. And Henne looked cool, calm, and composed when the game was on the line last week against the Browns. Obviously, that interception was the one flaw in his game, but overall, I just like the Chiefs beating the Bills next week. And now let's go back to the big board here. So as you can see, I've obviously picked the Chiefs to beat the Bills. And now let's go to the Bucs and the Packers. And this is going to be awesome, this game. I mean, you've got Brady, you've got Rodgers, you've got two quarterbacks that combine to age 80, basically. And this is going to be a fantastic matchup. You've got the Bucs coming off a big win against the Saints. Good defensive effort, forced 4 turnovers. The offense was not as good as was expected in that game. Obviously, Brady in the past few weeks, especially to end the season, was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Last week, he only had 19 completions on 33 attempts. It wasn't his best game. He didn't have the great game that everyone was expecting, but overall, they won because of their run game, and they won because of their defense. And if they're able to continue that in Green Bay, they have a chance. However, I think the Packers are going to be too much. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is coming off an MVP year, right? He simply is, and he looked really good last week against a Rams defense that was number 1 in the NFL. Obviously, Aaron Donald was injured for a large part of that game, and he was not what we'd seen from Aaron Donald. And of course, without Aaron Donald, that Rams defense is not what they usually are. But even with the Bucs' great front 4, front 7, and their ability to get pressure to the quarterback with guys like JPP and Shaq Barrett, and even a guy like Ndamukong Suh, that'll be interesting to see Ndamukong Suh against the Packers. It's gonna. I just think that Aaron Rodgers was getting the ball out so quickly last week to Devontae Adams and Robert Tonyan, and that run game was really good too. That run game was something that was really big. I don't think they'll have as much success running the football against the number 1 rated run defense in the NFL in Tampa Bay. But overall, I mean, if the Packers are able to throw the ball and get the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands quickly and allow their receivers to make the yards up and do what they need to do in open space, then I think that the Packers will win. I mean, the defense versus the offense is going to be the matchup to watch. But we've already shown you that the Packers can beat highly rated defenses, as seen last week against the Rams. Offensively, for the Bucs, I mean, it's all about how can you get the run game going? How can you get Tom Brady going to where he was earlier this season? He didn't look as great last week with some of the decision making, some of the play calling, and this Packers defense is coming off some good performances. I mean, they held a good Rams offense to 18 points. I mean, that Rams offense is good even without Cooper Kupp. Obviously, Jared Goff a little bit banged up, but overall, I mean, this Packers defense is playing aggressively. They're playing feisty. They're playing intense defense, and if they continue that and they continue getting the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands quickly and some success in the ground game, it's going to be less success than last week, but it's still going to be some success going to be needed. And they're going to be a very hard team to beat. Also, as I said at the beginning of the postseason and at the beginning of the playoffs, I'm like, if the Packers get the first seed, no one's beating them in Lambeau. And although Tom Brady had beaten him earlier in the season, obviously the Bucs won big against the Packers 30-10. I still think the Packers have this one. Obviously, last year, the Packers lost a big game to the San Francisco 49ers early in the season, and then they lost in the conference championship game. And maybe this is another similar scenario, right? Obviously, they lost big to the Bucs. Could they lose big to the Bucs again? It's definitely possible. However, I just like Aaron Rodgers. I like what he's been able to do. He's coming off an MVP year. He didn't have an MVP year last year. I mean, he had a good year for Aaron Rodgers, but it wasn't an MVP year. And this offense is as good as it's ever been in Green Bay. Defense is playing really inspired football. They're getting pressure on the quarterback with Zadarius Smith. They've got elite secondary, or a very good secondary at the worst, I'd say, with Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage. I mean, those are good names on the defense, and they're just physical. They're aggressive. And you know what? They're going to want some payback. They're playing at Lambeau. No one is going to beat the Packers at Lambeau. No one's going to beat Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau. I just don't think it's going to happen, especially with some crowd there, too. And just the Lambeau atmosphere, it's going to be cold. It's going to be under 30 degrees. It might be snowing. Rodgers is going to show up. Brady's going to show up too. It's just, are those weapons going to come back? I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Two good defenses, two great offenses. And at the end of the day, I just think the Packers are going to sneak by in this one, and I think they'll get the win because of what they've been able to do this season. And you know what? Playing at Lambeau, I think, really gives them the edge. And now let's go back to the big board here. As you see, we're going to predict that the Chiefs and the Packers win, which would set up a Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl. That would be fascinating. I mean, Mahomes versus Rodgers, the two MVP candidates really going head-to-head. That would be phenomenal. That'd be a fun matchup to watch nonetheless. Of course, Brady, Mahomes would be interesting. So would Allen. All these quarterbacks would be interesting to watch compete against each other in the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, I think the Chiefs will win. I think the Packers will win. And then that'll end up in a Super Bowl where who knows what will happen. All I know is that I did have the Packers winning the entire thing earlier in the season, if you watched that video a while back. That's like months ago. But I just think the Chiefs are going to be able to take care of business at home. I think Packers are going to be able to take care of business at home. I think the home crowds are really going to play an advantage in this one. I'm in both of these ones. And with that said, that's pretty much going to end the video for today. Did you agree with my analysis? Why or why not? Leave your comments in the comment section down below. If you're new around here, please drop a like and a sub. That would really help my channel grow. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see ya.